Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and as you can see, I'm still waiting to get my PC delivered so that I can get back to playing. But we are outside, kind of enjoying the open air here. I did figure out how to hook up my audio. It took me about an hour or so, so I don't think it's fully optimized yet. Let me know what you think. It should be better than the garbage audio that was just stock on the laptop. I'm still using kind of the lower quality computer that's on the laptop, but I don't think it's really going to matter for a video like this where, you know, most of what you're going to want to see is just what's on the screen and then just kind of hearing what I'm talking about. So anyways, let's go ahead and get in here. So 12.7, this is what is teased for what's going to come in the next patch. Oh, and just, I should, like I said, I should be able to have the gaming monitor built and ready to go hopefully by early next week. I'm gonna have to double check the timing on some of the components, but hopefully next week we should be back in business. I'll make an announcement video about it. I think I might go back to YouTube for the most part. I've had several people ask me about that, but I'll do a separate video, and we still will do some Twitch, I think, maybe just like on the weekends or something. But just stay tuned. I'm gonna think about that and kind of see what's going on. But I should be back in business one way or another next week, so stay tuned for that. I'm still going to try to bring you maybe some videos like this, patch notes, tier list, things like that, if my monitor's not, or my PC's not built in time. Anyways, let's go. Run on low sleep, let's do it. Okay, so they're buffing a lot of champions, which is kind of interesting. This is like right after the major tournament, so I guess they're just trying to make some adjustments. I think, no, I guess this is before what, MSI? But anyways, lots of stuff going on here. So we've got Gwen, her ECD refund is 60% if she hits somebody. I think that's her dash, if I'm not mistaken, so that should give her some more mobility. And the R cooldown, 20 seconds early is huge. She has a pretty impactful R, I think, for dueling. I don't know. I mean, do we really need Gwen back into the meta? Like, the champion just feels so oppressive and obnoxious because she's so difficult to interact with, especially for ranged champs. But there have been a lot of, you know, kind of oppressive ranged champs in the top lane, stuff like Graves. So, at least on the pro scene, so maybe she's supposed to be an answer to someone like Graves. I don't really know. But, okay, I guess. I think it's pretty dangerous to buff her, though. But Pantheon, I didn't see the previous tweets. Can I click on it? What does that do? Okay, I don't know. I don't know what the Pantheon changes are. Oh, here we go. Let me see. Yeah, I don't. This is all Tim, right? So when he says see the previous tweet, still looking. How long ago? It was for. Oh, dude just posts up like a million things. No, these are other people. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, is it really that hard just to throw up a few extra lines for like what you're changing, or at least give like some ballpark description of it, or like a link or something in the post? I don't know. Anyways, okay. Well, whatever. Pantheon's getting changed apparently, so I can't really comment on that. I didn't follow, you know, what that was, but okay. Again, I'm not like super thrilled if Pantheon's in the meta one way or another. He's pretty, you know, he can be oppressive in the bot lane and he can be fairly non-interactive. It just depends. So I guess, sure. Yasuo base HP up 30, that's pretty big, and the cooldown down 10 seconds early, so that means he's going to get to ult more often. I think that's pretty good. Yasuo, I know a lot of people hate Yasuo. I think he's actually a pretty unique, pretty interesting champion. I know people might say, but you just said Gwen's non-interactive, and Yasuo's win wall is non-interactive. That's true, but I think Yasuo has more pronounced weaknesses. Mostly that he can't, like, free dash. Like, that's a huge difference between Gwen and Yasuo and some of these other champs, is that he can't really get away, right? Like, he has to commit. So I think he's inherently a lot more dangerous, and he needs that win wall to protect him when he's going in. So you have to, like, dash around the minions, but you can't, if you're just caught out in the open, you can't just, you know, run away like a lot of these other champions can. So I think Yasuo's interesting. I know a lot of people hate him, but Okay. But I just think that he's inherently a much riskier champion, much higher skill cap, high risk, high reward, and I think that's cool. Okay, Yone, kind of like Yasuo, but he can actually get away, but he has to use his ultimate to do it. But I think he is still a pretty interesting champion as well. So late game, 20 seconds off the ult, so he can do it more often. Okay, that's probably fine. Wukong, pretty dangerous to buff this champion. He's almost always like low-key pretty strong, at least in solo queue. He just has a very good kit. He's good at, solo fights, good at team fights. So, kind of a little spooky to buff him, but what are they doing? Okay, so the QCD is going down by 1 second early. That's pretty big. Even later on, like, that's kind of your mobility. That's how you stick to people. I believe maybe that's his crushing blows. That's like higher sustained damage. I think his E is his Nimbus Strike, the thing that dashes onto people. Okay. And then his WCD is going down. Ooh, what? What does that mean? Can go over walls. Can he dash through walls now off of that? That's a huge buff if that's the case. That's going to give him a lot of capabilities to escape. I'm assuming that's what that means. Unless you can put the clone over the wall and then you stay on one side. I'm not sure. But it sounds like you're able to probably dash through thin walls with it. Which seems extremely powerful. So that's going to take away one of his biggest weaknesses, is that he doesn't have a dash over a wall. Okay, this is interesting. The E monster modification on the Nimbus Strike is going up to 180%. So they want him to be in the jungle, potentially. I mean, that's pretty big. Like, that QCD going down means he can do more damage to things like Baron, Dragon, Blues, Reds, just higher sustained damage in general. The W going over walls gives you, more interesting gank paths. And then the E, the AP ratio is up. I don't think you would ever go AP on him because his other ratios are down, but they're giving him kind of just a troll AP ratio, I guess. I mean, maybe there's a funky build out there you can do with the Nimbus Strike. I don't remember if the W has an 80 ratio or not, the clone, when it, hits somebody after it finishes its duration. But that's a little goofy, and I can't remember if the R has an 80 or an AP ratio either. Maybe. I don't know why they buff these random ratios, because it almost always leads to something that's degenerate. If people take advantage of that, but okay, sure. So yeah, interesting. Those are some pretty big buffs in my opinion on Wukong. Okay, Nico is the W damage. So that's the on hit. I think every third hit does more damage because her Q is the Pot Blossom, and I think her E is the snare. Yeah, and then you get the bonus movement speed when you trigger it. Okay, so I mean, are they trying to bring back on hit Nico? That was pretty oppressive a long time ago, and something like Nashor's could be extremely good on her. I'm not sure what else she would get. Okay, I mean, top laners are not going to like that if she gets back into the game, but I think she's a relatively interesting champion. I'd like to see them play more around her clones. Like, if someone hits the wrong clone or something like that, she gets a buff. Or they get, a debuff. Just playing around with that kind of little mind game stuff, kind of like Shaco's clone. I think that can be very interesting. It's really frustrating to play against, but I think it's also an interesting sort of dynamic, little game of cat and mouse. So, anyway, I guess if they really want her to be, back in the top lane, or I think she was even played as an APC, almost like an AD carry when she was released. But I also think that AD carries are in a weak state, if I'm remembering that correctly, when she was released. But okay, fine. Gangplank. Now, I feel like Gangplank was already pretty good in pro. I might be misremembering that, but I feel like I've seen him do pretty well recently. Now, he was nerfed, I think, maybe a few patches ago. But what are they doing with him? Okay, so the passive... Well, that's a lot more damage on that passive late game. What the hell? That's 85 extra damage? Because I think the passive applies to the barrels, right? Gangplank's a very complex champ, so I don't remember all of his little interactions. But I think that applies to the barrels. That's pretty nutty. That amount of extra damage on that passive. Okay, and then the W mana cost, which are your oranges, are down 20. That's actually really big for laning too. That's going to give you, a lot more, a lot stronger mana management. Because I don't think he does. He gets that many mana items. He might. I don't remember if he gets Essence Reaver in some builds or not. They took mana off of Trinity Force, I believe. So I'm not really up to date on all of the, Gangplank stuff that he gets, but that seems really strong to me on paper. Like much better mana management and sustain in the lane effectively, and then just like a massive amount of extra damage on that passive. Okay, isn't that damage too? Hold on, let me see. I thought his passive was like true damage. Might be wrong about that. It might just be physical damage. Let's see. I haven't actually read Gangplank in a really long time. Okay. Gangplank periodically empowers his next basic attack to burn the target, dealing that much bonus. Yeah, plus 100% of your AD as bonus true damage. Yeah, it's really 85 true damage extra on this passive. If Gangplank successfully hits a target with Trial by Fire, he gains extra movement speed for 2 seconds. Every time a powder keg explodes, the cooldown of Trial by Fire resets and Gangplank gains bonus movement speed. Wait, what? Okay. Okay, I thought it applied off of kegs. Okay, so it does not apply with kegs. It does not apply with parlays. You have to actually auto-attack somebody. So in an ideal situation, you would... Well, it's damage over time. But you would try to auto-attack somebody and then blast a barrel on them and then auto-attack them again. So you get that reset. Or just like... I don't know, auto-attack them before they finish exploding. You can auto-attack, I don't know. It's kind of convoluted, but either way, like, that's a lot of extra damage. Even if you aren't, like, getting, like, crazy resets on it or things like that. Like, just straight up being able to auto-attack somebody and do, effectively, like, 500 true damage over 2 seconds when you think about the AD scaling plus, like, the new 315 base or whatever. That's pretty crazy. Okay. So yeah, that looks like some pretty substantial buffs to me on Gangplank. All right, I think Gangplank's a very interesting champion in general. So I like to see those kind of high skill cap, unique champs get pushed in the meta. So that's good. Might be a little too much. We'll see, but I like the thought. Okay, Kalista, base mana up by 50. That's a lot early game. Base movement speed 325 to 300, and then attack speed per level is up a little bit. Whatever. The movement speed's pretty big. I think, because that might dictate how fast she jumps. I think the tier of her boots determines also how fast she jumps. So I can't remember if movement speed affects that. But either way, 5 movement speed is definitely pretty good when you have such a low base especially. And that 300 mana, I don't know for sure. That seems important because you do get refunds, I think, whenever you kill minions and rend. But this should allow you to trade more aggressively without having to back as often, especially in the early game. So that's pretty good. I don't know if that's going to affect her in a huge way. They did, as far as like her win rate, they did sort of buff Blade the Rune King a while back. Like they gave it more on-hit damage, but then they also recently nerfed the lifesteal. And I think that she was a like shield bow Blade the Rune King user, I believe. Maybe she could do Kraken. I'm not really up on her builds, but I don't think that's going to be enough to make her fully mainstream. They need like better attack speed items She never really got Gensu either. I mean, I guess, what does she get? She gets, like, Hurricane, Blade the Ruined King. It's just she just doesn't have a good mythic. And that's why I hate this mythic system, because there's so many, like, edge champions that are kind of interesting, like Kalista, that just don't really shine with any specific mythic. But it feels bad to, like, not get a mythic, I think, a lot of the time. So, I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter, but it might not matter. A big thing with her is she requires a lot of time to set up, and she just has almost no burst damage. I wish if they wanted to give her that they would buff her ultimate, which is something they nerfed a while ago. So, like, her ability to throw in an ally, like a tank support usually, to engage a fight was really nice and gave her a great piece of utility. And just the ability to save an ally, too, with that ult. I would put more power in her ult and just say, kind of make her Ashe-esque in the sense where you just kind of admit, alright, she's not going to do as much high sustained damage at, 3 items as, some of these other, crit-based type of ADCs. But she does bring the utility of, having an engage option with this ultimate, saving an ally, using that rune to secure barons. I mean, that was a little on the strong side for professional play. But either way, I think she's an interesting ADC. I wish you'd see more, champs like that. But I just don't think the itemization favors her right now. Could be wrong. Maybe we see her more in pro. But it's just her damage feels a little too slow when there's so much burst out there. Okay. Lilia, healing ratio going up to 20% of your bonus AP. Okay. I guess that'll help her out with sustain in the jungle a little bit more. And then the W damage is going up a bit. So that is... I think that's the ball that she throws, right? So, not a huge deal. It could bring her back in. That is interesting. I'm not sure why she's not in the meta right now. I think she also is a victim of not having a really good mythic. I mean, the thing is, like, sustained damage mythics right now, especially for AP champions, I think that's pretty lackluster. I can't even remember the name of it. But that thing that, like, builds up over time and, does, like, some extra damage and things like that. And then, like, I guess you can get Liandry's, which is okay if you don't want the other item. Demonic feels like they made it more for a tank. Demonic's in a really weird place right now, but it feels like they made it more for a tank with I think it scales with your max HP for how much burn you get, which is a little weird. And it's like she doesn't really need 600 mana. I think making Liandry's like come stock with 600 mana and still have it as 3,200 gold when a lot of the other AP items and just other items in general have been reduced over time to like 2,800. This feels bad. I wish they'd make it 2,800 and just like take the mana off of it or something. Or just like severely lower the mana. Because a lot of the champs that want Liandry's don't necessarily need a lot of mana. Right? Like they're trying to, balance this item around something like Xerath or Vel'Koz or whatever. But a lot of champs that want that burn may not need it as much. You got Zyra, obviously stuff like Vladimir, and just a lot of other champions that would like to have that poke damage might prefer either another stat or just saving the gold by having less mana overall. So just putting 800 gold budgeted into that item for the mana feels kind of bad. So I wish they just kind of reworked that a little bit. But anyways, Lilia's probably okay. Karthus, Q monster modification, so it's going from 85% to 95% on your Q. Okay, I mean, I feel like Karthus, like, he's basically a jungler. If he's ever in the meta for years, it's always jungle. And I think a lot of people get really frustrated with Karthus in the jungle because he's just this, like, turbo farm, just inevitable type of champion. There are more tools to deal with him now. That buffed Amal Malmortius a few patches ago, and then people have Banshees. Everybody and their mother's getting Zhonya's these days. Even AD champions in some cases are getting Zhonya's just for that effect. So there's a lot more counterplay to Karthus than there used to be in the past, but in my mind, he's still just a very simple kind of binary, like, guaranteed champion. I mean, like, his Q does require skill shots, right? Like, you do have to hit a bunch of Qs to be effective in fights, but I wish they'd rework him a little bit. I mean, he does have the iconic R, but just make him a little more, like, interactive or interesting. But either way, what I'm trying to say is, like, I just don't think it's a healthy meta, and I'm not excited, and I don't think a lot of other people are excited about Karthus if he's in the jungle. But it's probably fine. There's enough counterplay. I just don't think he's particularly interesting in the jungle. Okay, Zeri. Okay, August tweet eventually. Okay, so I'm assuming he hasn't tweeted about this yet. But yeah, they probably need to nerf Zeri again. I mean, we don't have any pro data for 12.6, and obviously she's going to have a lower win rate in solo queue. But in 12.5, she was quite oppressive for an ADC. So, I mean, the main thing with Zeri, it's not even her kit. It's just the weird items she can get that interact with her Q. Like, that's it, you know. If you just make it to where Hurricane does not interact with her Q, that's it. That's what they did to Caitlyn back in the day, and I think Caitlyn's in a fairly reasonable place right now. She's good, but she's reasonable. She's easier to balance because they made it to where Headshot does not interact with Hurricane. So that made her way too oppressive back in the day. And they overdid it on the nerfs, you know, to kind of compensate for that before they ended up nerfing it. So that's what they're going to have to do with Zeri. Just nerf the interaction with Hurricane. It doesn't make any sense. Like, Ezreal's Q doesn't work with Hurricane, so why does Zeri's work with Hurricane? So just do not allow Hurricane to work with her Q. Just say no to Hurricane. And then the rest of the stuff is probably okay, honestly. The Titanic Hydra is a little weird, but I think that only works because she can get multiple splashes of it. She can get 3 splashes off a Hurricane with Titanic. So it's that combination of items that she gets. It specifically Hurricane Titanic that's problematic. I don't mind her having Trinity. That's fine. I mean, Ezreal has Trinity too. And I think as long as that ends up just being single target, you know, one target at a time, it's fine. And maybe it's something with the lightning bolts. I don't remember all of the weird interactions that she has, but it's something like the lightning bolts apply on hit or something. Like, why? Why does it need to do that? Like, just lightning bolts. It scales, like, make it scale more with AD or something like that if they want to compensate, and just make it power neutral, but take away these, like, on hit, on attack interactions between her Q and lightning bolt to just make her less ridiculous. And you should cap out that movement speed too at a certain point. Like, okay, she can get up to whatever the number is, 20 or 25%, just to fix like those insane case scenarios where she's moving like 800 movement speed, you know, and running everyone down and killing them. That's kind of goofy. So I don't know what they're nerfing. So yeah, I can't see that tweet. I don't even know if it exists yet, but that's what I think they're ultimately going to have to do, is nerf the interactions with on hit, specifically Hurricane, on either the Q itself or the lightning bolts. One or the other. It's just too much synergy there, and it just gives her too much team fight presence, too much sort of poke damage, and too much survivability because of the Titanic. So yeah, I think they should nerf Zeri, even though I know her win rate in solo queue is not great. And I like that she's a unique and interesting champ. It's just, you know, like I said with the other champs, I think that's good, but it's just they have to nerf those interactions and buff something else that's kind of cool about her. I'm almost done, and we can roll out in a little bit. Okay. And then Ryze, okay. Is he even that good in pro right now? I mean, honestly. Because I feel like he's been nerfed. Hasn't he been nerfed like 2 or 3 patches in a row? But the last time I looked at this, it felt like his win rate wasn't that oppressive. Again, there's just not a lot of data on 12.6 because most of the tournaments are played on 12.5 recently. And yeah, Zeri had a good win rate there that you saw, but they also nerfed her last patch, and they don't have any pro data on that yet, and that's what you need for Zeri. Like, solo queue is whatever. Wow, Jinx's win rate's under 48%. Okay, didn't realize that in pro. I don't remember who the hell. Okay, Ryze. That's right. I was like, who are we talking about again? Okay. He's got a 39% win rate. What? That's about what I thought, because I'm like, every time I look at this, it's always negative. So what are we talking about here? I know it's going to be negative in solo queue. If it's negative in pro, it's damn well negative in solo queue. 45% win rate in solo queue right now with a 2% pick rate. In pro, 68% presence with a 39% win rate. What? And we're nerfing him? Why? It makes no sense. Like, what the... That's so bad. 39% in pro for that much representation. It's not even the highest representation. It's 74%. Their range for nerfing something in terms of presence, they've said in the past, is 80% presence in pro. We know they don't always do that, because there are some champs that are over 80% for a really long time. But certainly with a 39% win rate, like, that's horrible. Like, that's definitely, that has to be, you know, more than one standard deviation away. Like, that's almost like 2 standard deviations, probably. Oh, yeah, that's so bad, statistically. So, okay, so they're nerfing him again. So the Q mana ratio, 3% down to 2%, and the Q AP ratio is going up, though. Okay, so they don't want tanky Ryze, basically, is what they don't want you to get Frozen Heart or Fimble Winter on him. It's pretty much what they're saying, right? So they want you to have, they want you to get Archangels or something like that, because they don't want you to be able to get extra damage off of mana. I guess, again, I know it's cute. Maybe there are memes about it. Maybe there are some all caps YouTube videos about tank Ryze, but at least statistically, it just looks like one of the worst mid laners I've seen in a really long time in terms of, again, like, when you consider popularity and win rate across all regions on a completed patch. Like, that's really bad. I mean, maybe he was completely annihilating people in 12.6. Maybe in 12.5, no one had Ryze figured out, and then in 12.6, you know, there was some monumental shift in build and mentality, or like the meta, maybe just something completely... Nope, 20% win rate in 12.6. I don't know. I don't have a theory, guys. I don't know what it is. Now, yes, this is an extremely small sample size, right? It's only 5 games, but like, it's not painting a good picture on 12.6. So really don't understand that one. Ryze is a kind of interesting champion. Like, he has interesting builds. His gameplay is okay, I guess. So I'm not like super like mad that he's nerfed personally, but I just don't understand it. Okay, Lee Sin, base AD is going down to 66. That does matter because he has very good AD ratios on all of his abilities. Q1 and Q2 damage are down by 5. Okay, so that means when he hits both of them on someone, it's going to do 300 damage instead of 310. That's probably fair. Lee Sin is one of the best designed, if not the best designed champion in the game. Like, extremely interesting. Most people, you know, really have fun watching Lee Sin. There's lots of good gameplay interactions when you're playing as Lee Sin, when you're playing against Lee Sin. Like, he's just fantastic. So I really hope that they don't just, like, nerf him into oblivion. It's like, dude, just let him stay in the meta. Everyone wants him in the meta. It's like Thresh as support. Like, you know, some of the best metas are gonna feature, like, Thresh and Lee Sin. Right, so, I mean, do you need to nerf him? Yes, he is popular. He is the most popular one, right, or certainly one of them. But he's got a 49% win rate. It's like, come on, man, just leave him alone. He's got a, you know, 70% presence. But he's fun. He's cool. People like it. It's only 49%. In solo queue, his win rate's not going to be that good. So, again, just leave that champ alone, dude. He's fine. He's 50%. He's cool. He's a skill check champ. It's great. Everybody loves Lee Sin. Like... Stop messing with him. Okay, Jayce. Base HP is down. Base armor is down a little bit. I mean, really? Obviously not a great champion for most of solo queue. He's just too complex. Very tempo dependent. Doesn't give you any guaranteed power for your team. I guess. I mean, again, he's a kind of interesting champ. You know, he has pretty good skill check capabilities to him. He is oppressive in lane for sure, especially in you know, East Asian countries, you know, Korea, China, basically. I know they're a big fan of Jayce and they can be successful on him, but still, it's 51% presence. Like, top looks pretty balanced right now, honestly. Look at that. That's great. 51% presence for Jayce, 46 for Gnar, 44 for Ryze, 42 for Camille, 42 for Tryndamere. Like, look at that. Now that's presence, not necessarily pick rate, I guess. But like, this is pretty diverse, honestly. I mean, yeah, Gnar has picked quite a bit, but he's got a low win rate, or like 47. But no, there aren't that many outliers here. Look at this. Aatrox is a bit high at 58%, right? But everyone else is kind of in this like 45 to 55% win rate, and there's a lot of different champions. I think the top is probably one of the most healthy roles right now. Looks like there's a ton of different stuff getting played in top, at least competitively. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like you don't have to nerf him. It's like, yeah, he's picked. He's the second most picked champion. I guess he's got a 53% win rate, but I mean, is it that much better than Camille? You know what I mean? Like, Camille's 52% win rate. I don't know. Okay, I guess. That's a lot though, dude. What? He's losing 5 base armor? That's gonna like murder. Like, his matchups are gonna be so bad. And he's getting what? 500. He's losing 40 health and 5 armor on a champion that has to dominate lane, that has to get close to do his damage. Woo! That seems real rough. Yeah, I don't understand that. Okay, Rengar, extra damage to structures. Okay, sure. I haven't really kept up with the Rengar stuff on this patch, but that's fine. I think Rengar is an interesting champ if he's in a balanced state. Umbral Glaive, dang, 35 seconds on a free extra sweeper, and 23 seconds on, or 2,300 for cost. That's really big. I mean, the AD, like, Senna's already a pretty good support in solo queue, at least the last time I looked. She doesn't typically get that item, but that's pretty good. And then Pyke obviously is going to love that item. I mean, just anything with AD is going to want that item. It's like, is it becoming so cheap and so powerful for vision control that you could actually start seeing stuff like, you know, Lee Sin or some other champions? Would they be interested in getting that? Because it's so cheap and it gives you so much extra vision control. I don't know if other roles are going to want to get it, but it's definitely a pretty significant buff to Pyke, Senna, maybe Pantheon, if that rework positions him as a support. We'll see. I'm going to hate that. There's going to be clearing all my wards, man. That's going to suck. Okay. Okay, I mean, maybe I can try some of those champs out. We'll see. Okay, Abyssal Mask, maximum shred is 25. This isn't going to matter, but I also don't necessarily think they need to buff Abyssal Mask, because only supports are realistically going to get this these days. Most big tanks are going to get something else, like Spirit Visage, primarily. Sometimes, I guess, like Force of Nature, but because, like, that's the max amount. I think the base amount is still something like 7% per. It's something like that. Or it's like some base number, and then it scales off of your bonus HP up to a certain number, up to 25. But you have to have more than like 2,000 bonus health. That's not your base health, it's bonus health, in order to get that maximum amount. So really, it's got to be, you know, tanks that are getting like big ticket HP items and that are like getting a lot of items, versus most supports are going to have like 2 items max in most games, right? Like, you're going to have Locket, and then if you wanted Abyssal Mask, maybe Abyssal Mask and a Kindle Gem or something by the time the game's over, most of the time. So you might get to 1,000 bonus health, you know, if you're lucky. Outside of certain supports that, you know, if you do support Vladimir, you know, something like that that gets extra bonus health off of things, maybe. But I think under normal circumstances, this is just not going to move the needle that much. Okay, Fimble winner. I don't know what they mean by system. I guess that's like items and runes. Okay, Fimble winner. Price is going up, health's going down. I almost never see champions do this. I know that some people have talked about it in the chat. I think Butter was talking about Fimble winner on certain champs. I mean, I'm assuming the primary offender here is probably Ryze. There might be some other ones, but I just really don't see that item that much on most people. Someone must really hate Ryze or something on this patch. But okay, I guess. I mean, is it that much of a problem? I don't know. Maybe Ornn's getting it or something. I have been seeing Ornn top, and he's like, all right, I guess. But I just like, who's the Fimble winner abuser? Gragas? It's got a 46% win rate. Ornn has a 31% win rate. Like, which champion is it? None of these top champions have even anywhere close to a positive win rate. I think it's got to be just Gragas and Ornn, right? Of like top laners. I don't think any top junglers would get it. Let's see. Ryze, again, 39% win rate. I don't think Ahri or LeBlanc are getting it. Victor, I don't think, is getting it. No on Twisted Fate. And then you're just getting into, like, just weird off-meta picks. I don't think Veigar is getting it. I could be wrong, obviously, about some of those. Jungle. Maybe Volley? Maybe? I don't think so, but possibly. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Like, who's the abuser of this? I said the only people that jump out to me immediately, you know, would be Ryze, Ornn, maybe something like Maokai. I don't really know. Nothing that's like super popular seems like it's that big of a deal. Moonstone Renewer. Okay, good. I'm glad they're nerfing this down to 30%. I think they should eventually nerf it down to 25% and then give Ardent Censer and Staff of Flowing Water, give it 10% ability haste, or give it just like 10 flat ability haste. And if you need to nerf something else on it, charge an extra 100 gold, whatever you need to do, but get ability haste on those items. Put ability haste on Forbidden Idol. Okay, so I like they nerfed that, but I don't think they need to nerf Enchanters too much. It's just too strong of a single item power spike, I think, on like Sona and Janna. So, and Soraka. So I feel like it needs to be nerfed, but they should buff something else that those champions like to compensate for it. And I think Forbidden Idol would be a great place to do that. Okay, Gale Force, good. They need to change that item. It's just, it's too obnoxious. It's almost like having an extra flash in a lot of situations that also does a hell of a lot of damage. So I just don't think there's enough trade-off on the stats of that item to justify Gale Force. Like, I think it's a cool item, but maybe if they would change it to where you have to dash towards a champion that you can't dash away, that might be too difficult to code. I don't know. Or like nerf the distance that you dash. Because like right now you can use it to dodge stuff, you know, like Bard. I mean, they want it to be able to dodge hooks, dodge Bard ults, dodge Leona ults, stuff like that, but it's just got too much utility, I think. And then Time Warp Tonic, okay, they're nerfing that. I think that's kind of a popular rune, especially with some of the roaming supports and things like that, so I guess that's fine. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did. Like I said, I'm going to try to bring you some more videos like this. Maybe I could do some more guides or just thoughts on different builds and, you know, just some low-budget stuff here that I can do from the laptop, chilling with you guys outside. And then I should have the computer built hopefully pretty soon. I'll be back to streaming, and like I said, I'll give you a big announcement on that. So thanks, have a good day, and I'll see you next time.